Chairman Philip Franco.
Here.
Member James Hoster. Please let the record show Member James Hoster is absent. Member Robert Ascott. Please let the record show Robert Ascott is absent. Member Patricia Rogers.
Here.
Member Dennis Kapp.
Here.
Member Peter Barnett.
Here. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yahoo.
First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. We need to do a little something before we get into it. Don't worry. There's not much to the approval, if I can explain it. It's only our asking them to correct the minutes of the meeting prior. So we don't have to go through all the previous minutes, just the 2 or 3 items that we asked them to correct, which I see have been corrected. You'll find it on the first page, number 1, reading of approval of the resolutions. So what we're approving is that, not what we already approved in the minutes, the last meeting that we had. I believe I'm correct.
I believe
So I
you're
entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Guys have it, thank you. Tonight's agenda is fairly simple, let me read it to you. There is the election of a co-chair, which we will do after we finish this business, they don't have to sit through it. And then on the agenda is the special exception request. Now, before we go any further, the city attorney is asked to address us about who we are, what we are, and how we should be operating. Jim Matthew, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Franco. Since we have several new board members as well as a new building official, and wanted to make some preliminary comments, plus this is
I
a...
don't think your mic's on. There you go.
Is that on?
Yeah.
And this is a special exception, doesn't come up a real lot, so I wanted to explain a few things, what your purpose and function is here today. And first of all, this is not a variance, it's not a rezoning. It's a special exception. It's much different than the other two. Okay, this is an R2 district. Let me read to you what's, normally I'll give you this in your package in the future, but this is what's permitted in an R2 district. I'll skip some of it. Parker Playground, single-family dwelling, two-family dwelling, duplex, community residential home with 6 or fewer residents, family daycare. Then the special exceptions, okay? These are not variances. These are things that are allowed in the district. Church, and I'm paraphrasing here, a civic or community organization, clinic, medical or dental, daycare center, hospital, office, professional, or school. These are permitted uses. Okay, when they are listed as a special exception, has to come before this board. And what you do here is determine if you want to grant the special exception. Unlike a variance or a rezoning, the burden is not upon the applicant. The burden is upon you, okay, if you want to turn it down, all right? A few rules. First rule is that the application and all the other documents submitted by the applicant are already into evidence. They don't need to hand it up here today. You got lucky, right? And they don't need to hand it in. Number 2, let me tell you what your choices are, and then I want to explain some things, how this works in most other cities, and it works rather well. Board of Adjustment. This is the rules for the Board of Adjustment as special exceptions hearing. Board of Adjustment shall make its recommendation concerning all matters brought before it in the form of a resolution. I have that resolution with us today. There's a box to check, approved, not approved, etc. More important part, in rendering such recommendation, the Board of Adjustment, in its discretion, may recommend approval with conditions, or denial of the application. Okay? I can tell you from past practice that 99.9% of all special exceptions, and one of the reasons you're here, is for the conditions. They're generally referred to as provisos, provisions, okay? So as you go through this hearing here today, something comes up, usually parking's one of them. Are you gonna have 2 parking spaces, 3, maybe you want 10, I don't know, okay? But if the applicant says, okay, I'm willing to do that, that's a proviso. Clerk will write it down on a proviso sheet I have. Then at the end, if your motion is to approve, she'll read the provisos, and whether you want all the provisos in your motion, you might want them all, you might not. Okay, but that's how it works. Okay, so this way, it's not just approved, and then, well, they're gonna do all these other things, we don't have to be searching around for what they are at the city council meeting. Ms. Franco's smiling because we've been through that problem before, and I'm trying to resolve that problem. With regard to the standard, okay? I'm reading you what the law is. In the case of a special exception where the applicant has otherwise complied with the conditions set forth in the zoning code, if they met those, the burden is upon the zoning authority to demonstrate by competent substantial evidence that the special exception is adverse to the public interest. Now, before you, you will see two documents. Just grab one of mine.
They're also in the packet.
They're probably, well, they could be in the package as part of the code, I don't know, but the one is section 2-10, requirements for approval. These 18 provisos, not provisos, but their issues have come before the courts at different times, and this is what you're looking at. Adequate ingress and egress. This, number 7, the special exception, if allowed, will not substantially interfere or injure the rights of other property owners, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this was provided to the applicant at the time of the application. The other document before you is the applicant's answers. It's already part of evidence. Now, they can read them to you, et cetera. But that's what the requirements are, that's their answers, and that's the standard. So as you proceed here, there may be comments from the staff. I'll ask the staff, I don't think has a few comments about it they put in writing. They may have recommendations on special, on provisos, that's up to them. So the bottom line is, so I'm done talking here, the applicant gets to go first, tell you about what they're doing. You can ask them questions, okay? And then after that, you can have discussion. They can ask questions. Any questions on the process? Good with the process? You good? Mr. Frank will call you when he's ready. Thank you.
I have a question.
You good?
Are we making a recommendation to the board, or are we quasi-judicial?
I hold these as a quasi-judicial hearing, but it turns out that under our rules, the city council has final say in the matter. If you approve it, it goes before the city council as an approval. If you deny it, then they have a right to appeal it before it goes to council. Okay, but either way, it would go to council.
And appeal it to who, the council?
Yeah. It would come up as an appeal from a denial,
Gotcha,
okay?
thank you. Any questions on that, you guys?
No,
It's
I
a
don't-
little bit
I'm good.
different, in what he's saying is, we're gonna write down and put in the record what these people agreed to do. So
Right.
there's no question after. We're already in trouble with our last meeting on what they're doing and what we asked them to do. Huh?
As you bring
Correct.
them up, we'll get right down.
Okay. Will the petitioner and a representative and any other citizens who wish to speak for or against the petitioner, please stand and be sworn in by the city clerk?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Your show. What are you gonna do, why are you gonna do it, and how you're gonna accomplish it?
Hello, my name is Allison Yankee. I am a resident of Port Richey, as well as I've had my business in Port Richey since, my business has been there since 2011, and we have lived in the city of Port Richey since 2007. We love Port Richey, and we'd like to make it even a better place and help to make the waterfront district that everybody's growing a nicer place to be. We bought this property, I don't remember when. Well, we bought it, I think in 2011, in hopes to make it my office one day. I'm a financial advisor. I have one employee, my sales assistant, who works with me. So it's a very quiet practice. I manage $100 million for clients. I see one client at a time, so we don't have a lot of traffic coming in. I might be seeing one client or a couple, and maybe someone might stop by to sign a paperwork with my assistant, but we don't have 6 or 7, we don't have a lot of traffic at any one given time. We have spoken with the neighbors. right here. And Jim Leonard, who lives right next to the house, actually resides in Canada and uses it as a second home, and he's extremely thrilled. Unfortunately, we had some tenants in the property for quite some time that destroyed the property and did not live like any of us would want someone living in the city of Port Richey to live. We had a hard time getting them out, but luckily, with a lot of money and effort, they left. And now we'd like to fix it and make it look like a very cute, historic. It's one of the old historic homes in Port Richey, so we want to keep that feel. It's one of the first houses, I think, built in the city of Port Richey, so we'd like to put some of the pictures inside of it of what the city looked like back a long time ago when it was built, and help make the waterfront district a nicer place.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak for the petition? I'm going to bring it back to the board. Any discussion between us? The first thing, I might know a little bit more about it than you do. Here's what the city requires. There's 18. They've answered 17 of them. The one that they missed is inconsequential. And what I'm looking at, they've agreed to everything. The important things, parking, lighting. There's less traffic here.
Right.
We could approve a doctor's office that has regular patients coming in and out, and there's less than that. And I'm open to anything you guys want to talk about.
The only thing I have a question on is your number 2 was the 4-car parking on the east side. Doesn't the city require some kind of parking pad or parking something?
So we
Sure.
met with, we actually met with the fire department. You probably, okay, go ahead. Should I answer?
The question is, do they have to comply with a city requirement to either pave or to do something for the parking area?
'Cause they-
Yes, sir. We
The
had-
surface, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
They
sir.
do, and they've agreed to do it. But go
Yes, sir.
ahead.
As she was saying, we met at the site with fire department, police department, building officials, zoning, and went through the entire project and did explain to them. That's part of the 17 items that were here. We had a list, I had a list as the building, I'm sorry, Bill Muse, building official. And
Can't
as
hear
the-
you. Turn your mic off.
You hear me now? No? I'll talk loud. Is that better? Okay. Talk into it, all right. Bill Muse, building official. We had met at the site, fire department, police department, zoning, building official, and went through a list of minor items. These things can be taken care of as a building permit issue that they will have to have anyway. So there, as far as we're concerned, there's nothing minor that, I mean, everything was minor. We can take care of it.
And they've
Does that answer the
agreed
question?
to adhere
Okay.
to the city's requirements and zoning
Me.
requirements. Anything else?
Yep. I have a question that pertains to that as well.
Mhm.
Are there going to be a swale, anything to help the water runoff? Because I know the city has a lot of areas where water
You got that?
with the rain is a problem.
Yes, sir. There is
There's
a
a statement
swale,
in there.
I'm sorry, there is a swale there currently.
In the-
And Chris Hughes, the utility director, said that it would have to be cleaned and taken care of. Outside of that, no, ma'am, we can't make them go back and redo the swale.
That's in the front.
Yeah, that's correct.
How about the side street? Is there
No,
anything that,
no.
nothing? Okay.
Probably really absurd, but they did answer the question, and they did what the city asked them to do. Should they do further? Yeah, for the city is.
Luckily, in that area, the rain, you know how it piles on like Bay, it doesn't, an Old Post, like it doesn't,
I haven't been over there when it's rained. or
yeah,
hard,
it doesn't,
so-
we're lucky in that little area right there. I know when I'm trying to get to my house in Harbor Isles, you can't even get there. But in that little area of Pasco Way, it doesn't really flood. Knock on everything.
May I add something, Mike? I was just informed that we certainly can request them
We
to
still can't
resolve
hear
the
you.
swale.
I don't know, his mic's not on, or something?
Does that sound better?
Yes.
Sounds better to me, anyway.
Yeah, there you
I was just informed that we can include that as an issue, so we will include with the building permit that they must rework the swales in that area.
Good for you.
Okay, at least we'll attempt to help.
Good,
Rework
thank
the
you.
swales.
Sure.
Yeah, just for purposes of understanding, we don't need to put a proviso that they have to meet all building requirements, okay? That's for anyone that does any
Yep.
construction, okay? So we don't need to put that as a proviso. But you can request anything that's reasonable, okay? So in other words, if it was just construction, normally we couldn't, but if the swale's an issue and you're willing to do
Good
that,
for you.
then you can do anything. And that's the whole point. Let's say that property only requires 2 parking spaces. If you, not trying to get you to make any. If you want 3, then you can make it 3. It's nothing to do with the building code. This is a condition upon acceptance of special approval. If you have a reason, you would think that would be reasonable. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's how this works. That's what these provisos are.
Thank you. Good call.
Well, I mean, how much parking do you have now at the building?
There's a driveway, like a normal driveway and a carport.
So
Um,
you've got parking for what, 2 cars?
Right, so the way, I mean, it's just a normal driveway.
Right.
With a carport, so the only thing we said was, it's a very large lot.
Huge lot.
And so we said that maybe we could, because if I were to park behind my sales assistant, you know, if she needed to leave for any
Sure.
reason that she really couldn't get out, or if a client were to come, I mean, there needs to be a little bit more parking, but we want to keep it, we don't want it, I really don't even want it to look like a, Walmart parking
Right.
lot. I mean, I want to keep it really cute and nice. I really like to keep that, it's a bungalow house, and I'd like to keep that feel and not really make it a commercial big.
Dennis, I think what you're asking is parking for a minimum of 4 cars.
Right, we were asking for
Right.
4 cars.
Right, so you're already,
Gotcha.
are you saying you're adding 4 to the current 2? So
No,
you
we
have a
really
total of
just need
6.
4. We really just need to be able to park
Okay.
4. There was several discussions when they were out, you know, we were definitely taking the advice of the city. There was lots of discussions on how we could do it without, you know, messing up
The neighborhood.
the, I don't know what that, you know,
Swale.
the gutter
Swale.
system,
Swale,
swale.
right.
You know, we don't want to do that, because I definitely don't want the house to flood. And there, like I said, there's really no flooding going on over in that area right now, as it is. So we would go around the side, it's a very large lot that goes
Right.
all the way to the road, and there's a lot of area over here
Okay,
that we thought we could make, you know, like 2 extra parking spots.
okay.
Any other conditions or questions?
Not at all.
I'm not sure I understand what the board wants in terms of parking. See, keep in mind, this is a professional office. Well, a mandatory, they're gonna put 4 spots in? Okay, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that once it's zoned as an office, regardless of what your intention is, there could be somebody there 12 years from now after they sell it to another business.
But
So-
wouldn't they have to comply with
No, no.
parking if it's a different
Whatever,
type of
whatever we're
business?
saying now,
Okay, so they would
Forever and
buy the
ever.
property knowing that they could only have
that's why we're
4
putting it as
parking
proviso,
spots?
and the ordinance would be filed and recorded with
And
the
if they were
property.
parking on the street, they'd be ticketed.
That's correct, yeah, that's why there's
That's
no
how-
on-street parking in
Right.
Port Ritchie, so. No, there will be, the proviso, I presume, is that there'll be parking for 4 spaces.
Right.
That's
Mandatory,
what she
not
is.
minimum,
Yeah.
mandatory parking for 4 spaces, right?
That's what she
Okay,
is.
just trying to outline what the.
Here.
Okay, my other question with parking, would you put 3 spaces on the side street and use the driveway as 1 space?
What we're hoping to do, but we've talked to Veronica about it a lot, and we want to make sure it's going to be okay. I mean, what my kind of thought was, is, I don't know if you've been down Pasco Way, but, Main Street,
Oh, what's the name of that?
Borg, that Jim lives on.
All scrambled.
Yeah, there's a map.
Well, you come down off of 19,
Yeah, the
and then
side street.
there's a stride street right there. So our property goes all the way to that street.
You're right.
Carmel.
Next to the
Cornell.
house,
She's been here since the 60s. It's
Yeah.
Cormel.
so that street right there, Cormel, I was thinking that just a, like a seashell type little lot that might be like, because I don't think that the driveway, if we extend the driveway out via concrete, I think that could mess up the guttering system. And I know I'm not talking right.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that's-
My question was, how many spaces did you want on the side street?
I don't want them on the street, like in what's the yard, I guess,
Yeah.
maybe?
Be in
Well,
the-
but
Like
you'd
four,
have
like
come
4 to
in-
6, maybe 6, so
You'd have
that
to-
somebody, like I could still park in the driveway myself. And then my assistant and a client could park in the other spot. And if another client came, or a husband and wife came at the same time in 2 separate vehicles, I have had that happen where a wife works and a husband works somewhere else, and they come in their lunch break. You know, I just want to make sure we have enough. I don't need 30 spots or anything.
So then you just.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Volunteering 4 to 6.
So, do we want 4, do we want 6?
Oh, I thought he was saying a minimum of 4, but, I mean, so we have to say exactly how many spots right now? We have to pick that right this second?
Well, you can't have any more, yeah, that's what you're here
Yeah, we
doing.
can't.
You want to start an office, you have to be prepared to state how many parking spaces you're
I'm so-
willing to do.
Okay, can we say 6?
You could ask for anything you want, it's up to these.
Yeah.
That would be a proviso, thank you.
Say it again?
6.
6.
6.
Okay, so six parking spaces will be provided, that's, unless Mr. Muse, you have comments and want to interject, as staff, you can always do that.
I have no problem with 6, that's a lot of parking spaces, that.
It's a big
that little building.
property.
Yeah, it's a big property, but the building determines the parking spaces, so it's a math problem.
Well,
Not for today, it does not. Okay, that's my whole point from the
I
beginning.
keep forgetting, I apologize.
Okay, yeah.
Stand
it-
corrected.
We can change things here today, you understand what I mean? So, you can make it 60 if you want, okay, because if there may be a lot of spots, maybe they need a lot of spots, maybe it's a big property. Do you
20
understand what I mean?
Right.
So,
If
these are
we,
conditions, these are something different.
if we say 6, does she necessarily have to put in 6? Can't you put in
Yes,
4 if she
yes,
was?
if she's,
Okay.
you say 6, she's got to put in 6.
Okay.
well,
No,
Good call.
aren't we saying 4 plus the 2?
No, we're saying 6 or
Total.
more.
well, the driveway counts as 1.
Oh, they're not counting
Right.
it as 2.
Did the driveway
we
count
can-
as 1?
I don't know,
That'd be up to Bill. That'd be up to us.
May I ask a question? Do you have any idea how large the building is, how many square feet it is?
Well, if she has 2 and adds 4, that's still 6.
Well, the only way she has 2 is front to back.
Right, in the
You
driveway.
better say 6.
Driveway.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
single-car driveway.
Is that
Okay.
the 2
Doesn't the
driveway?
driveway count now
Well-
as 1 or 2? She has
Well,
a
sure,
driveway
sure.
that can have
We're-
2
we're-
cars, right?
Yeah.
We're just talking numbers, are we not where they're located?
Right.
Correct.
Well,
That's
we
what
can
I'm
put the
thinking.
proviso in where they're located if it means something to the board or to the staff.
Well, I would think at least 2 could go on the driveway, so we'd have maximum 4
Four on the
somewhere
other
else
side,
on the
right.
property.
Well, then we'll
That-
say
that's
2 on
pretty-
driveway and 4 others.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
don't
I
care
would
where
think- I
they
would
go,
think.
that'll be up to them.
Yeah.
That's 6.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
yeah,
Here it is, we got 2
And it
extra.
makes your numbers work.
yeah.
So we have 2 provisos. Driveway and swell, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, we're gonna provide 6
Parking
Parking
spaces
as
and
well.
swale.
Parking
Yeah.
as well.
We say 6 parking spaces. He's saying it's
Any
not
other
only where
questions
they
from the
live.
board or discussion?
No, I've.
If not, I'll call for a motion.
Again, I apologize, didn't hear the question.
I directed it to the board, there's no more questions, therefore I'll call for a motion.
We have no questions.
I'm calling for a motion from the board. You're out of it.
Thank you, sir.
I make a motion to
Hard to
approve.
hear over here.
Second.
With the conditions.
With conditions.
With conditions.
Okay, and the 2 conditions are
Good for
a
us.
reasonable reworking of the swales and that the applicant will provide, will have 6 parking spots, 2 of which will be will be the driveway, right?
Any objection to the motion? It passes unanimously. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
You win.
I-
See it, you got it, that's what we're doing here.
Hey, thanks, guys. I think we're learning a little bit more how to do this. I wish we had done this with Whiskey Joe. You can't
Yeah.
believe what they're doing over there.
Well,
They're well below the flood line. Again, I told her more than once, I'm in this business. the
Yeah.
insurance business. What's gonna happen is, because we applied with plans, a very senior person comes and inspects the town to see if the town met the requirements of the agreement with FEMA, so that all of us get a 15% discount on insurance. You get a guy like me, you're gonna lose that discount, and won't be able to buy insurance.
yeah.
And I've been there, done it myself. And what they're gonna do is you're gonna see 3 restaurants that are sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I noticed the construction over there, but I haven't gone over
Well,
it.
Whiskey Joe's is okay, it's elevated. I
Yeah.
don't think enough, because they're building a 30-foot tower, which is illegal for FEMA properties.
I didn't know that
But
we
the
approved.
council approved it.
I was just gonna say, we didn't approve that.
No, the council approved it, that's why I wanted to know, as I joked with Sean. Oh, we have one more piece of business, and that is the election of a vice chair. I'll entertain any motion at all.
I thought you were the vice chair.
We don't have one.
We didn't have one, that's why we're electing one.
Okay, I make a motion that Patricia be the vice chair.
Any objection? Show the motion passes.
Yeah, we got
Thanks a
that.
lot,
That's
guys.
unanimous. Nice job.
I think I better run.
Thanks, guys, I really appreciate it.
That means I have.
And I'm glad we're in a direction that we might be able to do something for the city. I mean, they just, we had one meeting in 2 years.
I know.
Before that, it was